What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another rundown with the Crypto Mavericks. I'm Joe. You guys know Brian. What you didn't know is that Brian won the company's Bitcoin prediction contest. Congrats, Brian, because Bitcoin, you made a bull thesis on this, and it is at $109,000. Congrats, Brian.
Hey, yeah, I appreciate that. Every couple weeks we do a little Bitcoin prediction, and it's good to get a W there.
That just means that we are on top of our game, which we always are. What I want to show you is, your fair ingredient index looking good. Everything's looking good, but Solana, which we'll tell you why later on. But Bitcoin is leading the charge, right? Everything's flowing into Bitcoin. So you think. However, Ethereum, Ethereum's made a pretty big comeback. 15 days straight of inflows. How are we feeling about Ethereum overall, Brian?
Yeah, it's this is Ethereum's last stand, but with the announcements we talked about last week with the Ethereum Foundation, and they're kind of changing some of their views and how to improve the chain, and just a lot of things that are still being built. I'm starting to believe that the move is that Ethereum's going to probably be above $4,000 by the end of summer. Was thinking about this pretty heavily for a while today, and I think buying just straight ETH is a very strong play right now. I just see it outperforming at the time being. Not sure what the alt season is going to look like if we have one. I do believe we have one, but I think ETH is going to be a cornerstone. It's its last chance, so I love the momentum.
Nice. Yeah, we've seen things on Ethereum pop up, but also on this L2s pop off like Base. We made a couple of calls on that. And a lot of the reason things are popping off overall is because, regulation is, it's making things easier. The SEC chair, Paul Atkins, says that they're working on policy to exempt DeFi now platforms from regulatory barriers. I did not know that you even need regulatory, clarity for DeFi because DeFi is it's everywhere. It's decentralized.
Yeah, some bullish remarks there by Atkins. So it's exciting to see that they're trying to just. I think pretty much what he said. It wasn't groundbreaking. It's a lot of the things that he said in crypto recently. Is that this current administration just is going to take a step back. The past administration really had their hands in a lot of different avenues with crypto and DeFi, and they're basically saying that they want the space to grow, and they're going to kind of let the area, organically develop, and they're going to try to support DeFi. So again, another reason why I'm bullish ETH as well. A lot of DeFi opportunity on ETH, and just love to see the direction we're going.
Yeah, you think people's heads were spinning on CNBC, talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum. Wait until they talk about DeFi. I don't think they're going to know what they're talking about. That's why everyone should, make sure you follow along us there because we do deep dives into that. We've been doing DeFi since like the summer of 2017, 2018. It's been wild here. So lots of yields to be made. But the meta of the day or of the weeks has been going IPO. Circle up 4x since it's acting like a meme coin, isn't it, right? It was debuted at $31. Is at 133 for a stable coin, no less. And guess what? Because Circle did so well, Gemini has just announced that they are drafting, a statement for an IPO also. So just following Coinbase's footstep. I don't know if they have a stable coin yet, but things are heating up in the markets, aren't they, Brian?
Yeah, it's we talked about this on the rundown with TiVo and some of the market updates. It feels like it's ICO season right now. It's bringing me back to the throwback years when just ICO season was in full effect, and what came shortly after was alt season. But I understand why Circle's IPO went up 4x. I did not believe you and I have our own story. We talked about it on the rundown. We kind of had the opportunity early. We didn't broaden our range, and we missed out on the initial offering. And looking back on it, we should have just still bought Joe. We should have just market bought after it was released. But I was a little stubborn. I was a little upset that I missed my range. So I didn't get in on early, and I was like, this is going to go down. No way momentum's going to keep rolling. But sure enough, Circle looks extremely strong. So it makes me bullish for a lot of different launches here. It makes me bullish for this Gemini IPO. Makes me bullish. We're going to talk about later in the show about the Pump.Fun platform token raise. It just goes to show you that there's money on the sidelines that wants to inject into our system, and Circle hit it. I mean, it's up 4x. It's silly high. You definitely named it. It acted like a meme coin.
Yeah, when things are heating up, when people are making profits, there's a lot of rotation because, people feel rich. They want to, or they feel like they have extra money to spend. And one of the things that maybe they're spending on, and you could talk more about this, Brian, is plasma. Plasma is a new block. I'm gonna let you explain it, but they raised 500 million in 5 minutes. That seems absurd to me. But a lot of people, well, I won't say they like this, but they think that another topic we're going to talk about, Pump.Fun, that's doing another raise, is going to mirror this. Talk to me about plasma.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. So Plasma launched yesterday, I believe, on Sonar. That's Kobe, very well-known crypto Twitter personality, very sharp in the industry. His platform raised $500 million within a few minutes. It actually gives you the right to buy. So the way that works is that you would allocate, let's say, $5,000 in a stable coin. You had to lock it up for 40 days and then it gives you the right to buy a prorated version of how much you locked up. So it just goes to show you they raised $500 million in 5 minutes, and they are a, stablecoin blockchain. That's exactly what they're coined to be. And it just goes to show you there's a lot of money on the outside. There's a lot of institutional money. There's a lot of whale money that can't wait to buy into some of these platforms. So it didn't even get through the first level. So 500 million bucks, 5 minutes, and they're off to the races. So congratulations to anybody got in there. I think it's going to be very profitable once they get their tokens allocated, and it could be like a Circle 2.0.
Wow. Yeah, getting in on these early day ICO plays or IPOs now, which we're kind of seeing a reverse, right? Instead of going crypto, people are launching into Nasdaq and S&P. That's the play, and that's what Kobe's doing. Very smart on him. I know we want to in on this, but who knew that 500 million, 5 million, we probably would not have snuck in there. It's so much money in the markets right now, right? A lot of liquidity flowing around. So we're looking for a rotation. Everyone's waiting for a rotation. And where's it going to roll into? Well, we have a small inkling of where that's going to be. But before we get into that, what a better segue into memes than to talk about just a little bit last topic on the macro. And that is, you queued this up for me. And I heard about this, but I didn't see the article on it. Is how Elon got his black eye was him in a fight with Scott Bessent. And yeah, of course, everyone knows about the Trump and Elon feud. But the Elon and Bessent fight was new to me. Tell me about this.
I thought it was a joke. I saw this kind of early on, and I just thought it was like AI creating a piece of news. And I remember looking at the initial source, and I was like, "This is a pretty reputable news source." And it's like early in the morning. I kind of like sloughed it off. Then I saw more and more and more reports of this actually being a thing. Elon shoulder checks Bessent. Bessent freaking pops him, and people split him up. Really amazing stuff going on here in the White House and with the administration. It really follows suit with everything that's so crazy every single day within this entire year. I'm at a loss for words that if that is true, and it really does seem to be true. And I had to throw this in our market report just because. Of course, Bitcoin is going to $1 million. Like in this cycle, like of course it is. We got like Elon Musk and Scott Bessent fighting in the White House. Bitcoin's going to $1 million. That's the call.
Yeah, there are so many. Bitcoin's definitely going to million, but there are so many memes coming out of meme and Trump, meme Elon and Scott. It's just so much stuff that the trenches are popping off with. So yeah, tell us what's going on in the world of memes.
Yeah, I thought there were some memes, some runners that happened in regards to that and some other comments we're going to talk about here. Elon Musk wants to create his own political party. We're going to talk about that. But it really does feel like right now that a lot of these meme coins and some of the OG memes that we've talked about, some past calls we've talked about, one in particular, Joe, is this SPX 6900 up 34% on the week, and we kind of told our community about this a couple of weeks ago. Really, the top Ethereum memes, Pepe, SPX, and Mog. Some of those have been pretty decent winners over the past couple of weeks, all kind of going hand in hand with Ethereum catching a nice bid, seeing a lot of inflows. Hopefully, it's Ethereum's time to shine, and I do believe some of these meme coins on Ethereum are going to run. We're big fans of Rect. I actually got a shipping notice that my Rect drinks are coming here soon.
Yeah.
Rect's another Ethereum meme coin, and that hit an all-time high today, Joe. Did you see that?
I saw it and I responded to that X because I bought a Billy yesterday for the multiplier for the rec reward because they're gonna do what, three, four more drops, something like that. So I was like, I might as well get the a multiplier.
Yeah, that's a good call, man. It hit an all-time high. So we claimed, I think I spent $75 on a case of the OpenSea Rec drink. I got $55 back
Yeah.
in rec tokens. So there OSF is one of the best founders out there. If you're not involved with Rec Guy NFTs, the Rec brands, the Rec coin, it's not financial advice to just go and buy this product. We're not affiliated with them at all. Obviously, Joe and I have positions, so take it with a grain of salt. But I just think it's one of the best meme coins, one of the best NFT projects. And it's going to be around for a very long time. And they continuously continue to surprise us. On a little tangent there for Rect, but memes look okay right now. Pretty, green in the last 24 hours, pretty flat over the past week. Some of the big notes here, Farcoin. I think we talked last week. Dog with Hat almost flipped Farcoin. Uh, all is right in the world here. Farcoin kind of reclaimed that top spot at 1.2 billion. Bonk at 1.3 billion. In SPX kind of toppled them both at 1.4.
Yeah.
So some very interesting calls. Kind of just looking at this list, Joe. I know we didn't even talk about this beforehand. One that just sticks out to me always is Pudgy Penguin sitting at 700 million. That feels like it should, compared to some of these other ones, that should be at least above a Billy. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a move in Pengu sooner rather than later. Any gut shot feelings there?
Yeah, definitely they ride with a sentiment of their NFT as the lead and then their activations. And I think they're just building the history that the other ones have. The other ones have far more history in terms of holders going through cycles, right? That's why XPX so strong. They've been through the cycle two, three times, mini cycles, I would say, of 90% dumps. And yeah, that was surprising to me that XPX 6900 toppled, not toppled, I wouldn't say, but they flipped Fartcoin, which is has VC backing, right? And also Bonk, which is amazing. I did not have that on my bingo card, which is XPX 5900, 6900 flipping Bonk. So that's cool to see and gives me, I wouldn't say hope, but like we know that this entire sector is only going to go up in terms of memes overall. It's simple, it's fun, it's enjoyable. It's where it's where I have the most fun in the world of crypto trading, right? So Pudgy's has a lot going for it. Meaning like they were talking about IPOs. Like they could IPO the meme. Could you imagine that? Like IPO a meme, or maybe they were going to IPO the actual company. And Luca, the CEO of Pudgy, said, you know what? Let's focus on other stuff. So he could IPO Pudgy if he wanted to. I'm sure they'll be backing for that also. But he has focused on other stuff that will move the needle. So I'm not betting against Luca at any time. So at this price, which is sub a Billy, easy money because he has burning in mind, like a lot of burning mechanisms in mind that make the supply lower versus a lot of the other tokens. They don't have those burning mechanisms. So definitely bullish on Pudgy overall.
Yeah, it feels undervalued where it's at. It really does, especially with the abstract launch in Q4. I think it's going to stay undervalued, honestly. I don't see a catalyst in the near future. When I say near future, over the next few weeks. Nothing that I know of that is going to move it tremendously. Meme coins can move off of anything, but feels really undervalued. So I think we'll be talking a lot more about the Pudgy Penguins getting over $1 billion sooner rather than later. And there's been some interesting coins that have launched, but we have to talk about this. I don't think we talked about this on our last rundown, Joe. Did we talk about Pump.Fun and their token announcement on the last rundown? I don't think we did.
Maybe just at a high level.
Yeah. So Pump.Fun, one of the leading Solana meme coin platforms, token platforms where you can create your own meme coin, is definitely been leading the charge. They're dropping tokens. They're going to have a token sale. They're talking about a $4 billion worth. They're going to try to raise 1 billion. I do think we talked about this on the last rundown because our biggest concern, or my biggest concern, was where that $1 billion was going to come from. I came out initially bearish, have since flipped bullish. And now I'm even more bullish, Joe. There's a lot of interesting things that are being mentioned here. We're hearing there might be an airdrop. I'm hearing 10% airdrop. We'll get the final
Nice.
numbers when they make the announcement. I wish it was closer to 30 or 40%. That would make everybody in the trenches very happy. But an airdrop is an airdrop. It's a stimmy. Next up, they're talking about Pump.Fun may distribute a revenue to Pump token holders. So an interesting
Yeah.
mechanic there. Yeah, I think people are going to really like that. They're talking about buyback and burns, really trying to mimic this Pump.Fun launch, similar to what Hyperliquid's launch was, which made people instant millionaires overnight. So I was initially bearish. I'm getting very bullish with the small announcements that we're hearing rolling out. I'm starting to believe that $1 billion raise isn't going to be coming from the trenches as much as this could be coming from institutions in Wales, because we just saw it happen. We just saw it happen with Plasma. They raised $500 million in 5 minutes. You're telling me Pump.Fun can't raise $1 billion? It's happening. We know for a fact that there's probably some private equity and some venture capitalist funds or private investor groups that are just chomping at the bit to get in this. So I think $1 billion is now very achievable. It's not going to liquidate the trenches. Honestly, I think it's going to make the trenches electric.
Yeah, we have insider info on this, meaning like, I mean, it's not insider info. Like VCs have dibs on this, right? And we know some VCs that are getting in on this. Like you mentioned, it's not the money's not coming from the trenches, it's gonna come from VCs. And what do they want to do? They're gonna, they want to make some money. So there's probably some lockup period for, some majority of coins. For them, not Pump Fund, because Pump Fund has gone on a record and said that every token will be available immediately. So that's what they mentioned. But yeah, I like it. I like the move. There's not too much competition, I would say. Like there's not many things that you will want to invest into right now besides Gemini IPO and Pump Fund. I mean, Plasma was a good one because that's a investment into get into investments. So this is like an actual investment. Yeah, so I like it overall in terms of giving liquidity into the Solana specific ecosystem. We did see a pullback because VCs did tell us that, hey, some people are selling a little bit of Solana to get in on this. A billion is not going to come out of thin air. They need some liquidity, right? So that's why Solana is like was sub 160. But I'm still bullish on Solana overall. There's so much things happening on it, and I'm kind of glad Pump Fund's doing that. A lot of people lose kind of like the vision. Like you don't raise money just to do nothing with it. So hopefully they create more value, more products with Pump Fund, and that's a win for everybody.
Yeah, the only bearish side of this I could see, well, obviously if they start taking money from the trenches and they just run off with our money, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they want this to be very successful. Does this hurt Solana overall if, like, let's say Pump.Fun like rolls out a chain and all their token. I don't know. I doubt they're going to do that. So I'm speculating. But one thing they did nail, and that was in Tyler's post, is that unit bias. There's a trillion
Mhm.
tokens. Most meme coins are a billion, but we love it, and especially retail loves having more tokens. Dog with hat's kind of similar, or bonk similar to the dog with hat. You can have just way more tokens, and people's brain just. I bought 1 billion tokens, and maybe it costs you as much as, 100 million on another platform. Since I bought 1 billion tokens, they're like, if it goes to $1, that's $1 billion. Not really understanding the market cap mechanics, but unit bias is a real thing. And we know that with Bitcoin too. It's not like doesn't feel good, even though I fully understand Bitcoin and the market cap, it doesn't feel good like finding up thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, and you only get like zero point zero 0.08 Bitcoin. And you're like, damn, that's a long way away from one Bitcoin.
Yeah, I had dinner with a friend, a normie friend, who said the exact same thing. Everyone's talking about Bitcoin, and she said exactly what you said. I don't want to buy like 0.0002 of a Bitcoin. She's like, Joe, tell me what to buy. And the people just want that unit bias, which is funny. It's an actual thing confirmed by my friend the other. She did not want to buy Bitcoin. She has money to buy Bitcoin like a little bit, and even though it's a better investment than like a 99% out of the stuff out there, people don't want to buy a small unit of something, even though it makes you money. They'd rather have, a lot of something else.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could buy a lot of Bitcoin. That would be pretty sick, but it is expensive. It is going to be unachievable to own one Bitcoin. Probably sooner rather than later, because it feels like every freaking company is creating a Bitcoin reserve, and I think that's going to only intensify. But what I do want to call out here, Joe, since we're talking about Pump.Fun, there was a daily runner. This sucker ran like crazy. Verse World, the Verse token. I remember talking about this in one of our newsletters with our private community. It's essentially a metaverse, a very elaborate
Hmm.
metaverse, and they have some major partnerships. But this token absolutely ripped, I want to say up to 500, $600 million in just like 15 minutes, and has now since kind of pulled back. But interesting that this isn't just a meme coin. This is a utility
Hmm.
token at the end of the day, incorporating the metaverse. I did look at it earlier today and it did look like it got waxed pretty good. So, it's tough to catch those hourly and daily runners unless you're literally just buying everything and getting lucky. It's not, it's not the direction I always want to go is chase these runners. But, if you bought this early, you absolutely won. And something else I want to talk about when we were talking about meme coins, there were some very interesting tokens, Joe, that launched during this Elon Trump feud. One, because Elon apparently wants to make a new political party.
Hmm.
He wants to call it the America Party. And, I'd probably be the first one on record to say that we do need more political parties, or we need a revamping of the political parties because we get a Democrat, we get a Republican, and that's our only choice. And that it's tough, but he wants to create the America Party. So of course, what do people do? Doll up meme coins, TAP, the America Party, AP, America Party. There's a good old fashioned P versus P in the trenches. One token was getting run by a cabal. One token was being supported by the rest of the trenches. So it was certainly interesting. But when that usually happens, both tokens usually die, and that's exactly what happened. I would say I kind of lean towards the non-cabal one, and I can even share it. It was called the American Party, TAP, not endorsement to buy. I did kind of like to see the strength of this, and it came right back and then corrected, and now it's trading right around $1 million market cap. Joe, just talking about this out loud, if a meme coin was gonna run, if just our boy Elon just went ham and started talking about the American Party, like all of a sudden started feuding with Trump again, this would probably be extremely undervalued at $1 million. You could see some flashes up, but I would not feel comfortable laying my head down at night, holding on to this token because I could see it going from 1 million to 100,000 pretty much just as easily.
Yeah, it's definitely meta plays that you can either strike it to a home run or get struck out. So definitely, you got to place your chips wisely. And the political ones have been like that. If you catch it the right wave, you could be sipping a margarita in Cancun. So I do like it. We get ahead of some of these, but there are some coins that like USA, like Murad likes that have stuck it through. So definitely, I wouldn't bet against the USA at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. And just to kind of wrap up this section for everyone, wanted to call out Launchcoin. It is a platform essentially where you can launch a crypto company and have like actual real world utility, and they're getting endorsed by Launchcoin and Pasternak, who's one of the founders. But it's back over 200 million. It was actually even higher last time I checked. I think that's a testament, Joe, of we are moving off of some of these just pure memes. The OG memes are running the SPX 6900, but it feels like we're now rotating into more utility again. What people are building in the space. Not sure how long this meta is going to last, but I do like Launchcoin here and some of the projects that have been launching on it.
Yeah, we might dive deeper into that with our, not might, we'll probably dive deeper into it. We did it already, but this seems to be more underneath the hood. I know we have teams, members looking at it from our company as well, of how it can correlate with Pump.Fun and when they launched their token. So definitely could be a win there. And it's stuck around, it's coming back. So it's definitely something to look at. Another thing that's been around and not going away and kind of crushing, I would say, is virtuals. Virtuals has now expanded onto Ethereum. If you guys didn't know, Virtuals expanded to Solana, and they're doing AI agents on Ethereum now. So good to see that. We'll probably do a deep dive into that with our private community. If you didn't know, Virtuals is a AI agent launching platform. AI agents have not gone away. They actually have some sort of a comeback. We've made some calls on some base AI agents, financial agents last week that's been doing pretty well. And it's not just fluff anymore. They're rolling into actual products like finance products, finance agents, and we're kind of seeing little sectors take off in the AI agent world. Um, Yeah, well, what's your thoughts on the overall AI agents world as of today, Brian?
I love the AI crypto space. I need more attention there because I still have some bags that are packed that need fulfilled. But I do like it as a long-term play. I foresee somewhere like where like AI agents and this ICM, like the Internet Capital Markets, the launch coins of the world, could kind of make a baby and be the same thing where we have like AI agent companies that are launching real products. We already kind of have that and kind of as a startup, and those could see some runners. I don't know. AI is definitely moving forward. So I'm not betting against it anytime soon. Honestly, I'm doubling down in a lot of my positions, just kind of evaluating which ones I like, some of the bigger market cap ones, because I think AI agents, like Virtual is a perfect example. You know, they're making waves, they're improving every single day. And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yep, absolutely. Well, you know what thing that has been coming up a lot is we've been talking about a lot this week is NFTs, right?
Yeah, there's been a couple runners that at the Aeons or whatever, the SPX NFTs ran up to close to like 2 Ethereum. I think that's on our sheet here, but I can share it. Look at these suckers. They're 1.44 ETH right now, Joe. Do you own any of these?
No, I do not,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So I guess the reason why this is interesting is this has a connection to SPX 6900. It's kind of the meme coin runner over the past couple of weeks. So when the meme coin runs, guess what else runs hard? The NFTs. And we see that a lot. We see it with Rect and the Rect guys. We see it with SPX in these projects. So definitely something you always want to keep an eye on. And I'm going to just shamelessly plug these again. I can't remember when I've talked about this on every episode. If it's a newsletter, if it's a rundown with TiVo, if it's a rundown with us, these bad buns, they are correcting a little bit. I love to see it. They're under a half an ETH again. They ran all the way up to like zero point 0.6, zero point 0.7 Ethereum over the weekend, but they are connected to the Mega ETH chain that's going to be launching soon. And I was speculating. Now I'm starting to really believe that I think these could run even harder because they're going to have some sort of connection with future projects that are getting launched on Mega ETH. And a lot of big name people out there, NFT people like Legends and things, are repping them as their PFPs and talking about them. So I love to see it. So anybody in our private community, we gave you this call pretty early. Congrats if you jumped on it.
Yeah, that Mega ETH meta you've been talking about for a while. So you did well on those. Congrats. I'm gonna keep my eye on those. The NFT side of things is just like a beta play to the alpha, or the alpha to the beta, because the NFT came out first, and then the chain's coming out second, which is interesting to see. And that's something to keep an eye on that moves markets is these NFT plays. So NFTs are not dead. They could be indicators of what's to come, right? So we're seeing volume with Bad Buns is a great indicator. And I'm trying to look into if there's any indication that the Bitcoin NFTs is going to come back, Bitcoin ordinals. I'll just share my screen here so we can both take a look at it live. That's something that we both had a position in. And Node monks, Taproots, Bitcoins, everything seems kind of, I would say, playing off of the Bitcoin correlation. If Bitcoin price goes up, the Satoshis, the Sats go down. So that's another point for people to, that's was it they are when they're buying Bitcoin NFTs, they probably don't want to see their Bitcoin value go down or in terms of NFT, but it is because Bitcoin value goes up so dramatically. So that's another thing to watch out for people collecting Bitcoin NFTs, and that's something that I have witnessed myself, and that's why I got out of a lot of major positions in my Bitcoin NFTs. I probably have a few left because of that. I'd rather have more Bitcoin.
Yeah, the the story was so good with Bitcoin
Yeah,
NFTs and Bitcoin runes. And I misjudged that play. I think a lot of people did. We all did. We wanted the move was to just buy more Bitcoin and shut up and not even do anything, but we all wanted to buy the beta of Bitcoin to get more
right.
Bitcoin. And that was the hype, and that could still develop. But now I've kind of just defaulted. I was like, all right, I kind of learned my lesson. When I'm itching for something on the Bitcoin chain, I'm just gonna buy good old mother Bitcoin and not worry about it, lock it up. on a multi-sig wallet and forget about it for a couple years because it can be really that simple. I'm not going to overcomplicate it and use my DGen chains to DGen, use my Solana. I still have positions in those macros, but, buy NFTs still on some other platforms and just not mess with ordinals right now. But that could all change very quickly. We could be talking here in 3 months why Bitcoin NFTs were the hottest thing and we should have bought them when they were low. But I don't know. I'm looking at other projects again. I'm staring at Pudgy Penguins right now, Joe. Still wondering when you're going to buy one. They're about to dip under 9 Ethereum.
And that's
When
because your Ethereum's going up. Yeah, there's
true.
still USD value price. Oh my God, 25,000. I remember when we were talking about buying it at 13,000. Yeah, your
Damn.
Ethereum is definitely, I mean, for myself, just personally, is what I'm looking at in terms of NFTs. We talked about the other day. I was like, is the Chromie Squiggle like a decent price right now? Because yeah, your Ethereum NFTs is like the safe haven, I feel. Like Bitcoin NFTs made sense for the Bitcoin community because they wanted to rally and cry, meaning like they wanted support for the Bitcoin network. And Ordinals and Runes does support the Bitcoin network in terms of, helping the miners and helping the meme pool, the mempool, I'm sorry, not meme pool, the mempool have more activity that pays the miners and whatnot, because mining fees are getting lower and lower. So they had innovation there. Like they had like a daisy chaining, meaning that you can do more with just Bitcoin NFTs because Bitcoin NFTs are on Bitcoin, which is old. You can't do much, right? You have to like they can't hold much data. So you have to do a lot of like finagling to have it do the things that you can do on your Ethereum or Solana. And that cry has just simmered. Like I guess because Bitcoin ETFs has come up and just like stolen the limelight. I've just been looking back at your Ethereum and I'm on abstract for farming purposes and but I see most heavy hitters like you said, is back on Ethereum, like Bad Buns and everyone's on Ethereum, right? Like you probably bought more Ethereum NFTs this last weeks than I've heard you buy in like a year.
Yeah, I have. And maybe it's because I'm becoming an ETH bull again. I'm so easily won back by Ethereum. It's like a toxic relationship. I just loved everything about Ethereum. It's the oil theory, everything. And then Solana started taking the limelight and transaction fees were so cheap. I was like, I love Solana. It's so fast. Then I started getting liquidated so fast on my meme coin buys because people could sell so quickly and so cheap. I was like, no, we should be back on Ethereum. I'm not really sure. I see all these blockchains having their place. Ethereum's not going anywhere. And I still think some of these OG and Ethereum NFT plays are outstanding. Pudgy Penguins at 25,000 seems so gross, but it's probably such a great buy because I don't see it going down that much in ETH terms. I think a violent move we're going to see up in ETH, and I also think they're going to get heavily rewarded with abstract.
I,
So
yeah, I love what you're saying because we just gotta speak into fruition. Not that I can't buy a Pudgy Penguins right now. I mean, I could, just my wife will give me a stern eye. There's just much better place to make money right now. But we will one day. What I'm trying to say is that we will feature a Pudgy here, and you will feature a CryptoPunk. So it's so easy for me. Like, yeah, I'll buy the Pudgy, but you got to buy the Punk because we've been talking about those two specifically, or we both get a Punk. Who knows, right? And then that we just feature on the wall. That'll be exciting.
super hard for me to let's say I just dusted off a briefcase with $150,000. I want a punk bad, and I think they're gonna appreciate so well, but super hard for me to not just like safe haven that into Bitcoin too. And you're just like got everybody and their mother telling me it's going to 1 million. I see the bull path. And then I'll just buy my crypto punk, but uh I don't know. I really want a punk though. The floors just suck. I'm gonna be the first one. There's nothing good on the floor. You have to get up to like 50, 55 Ethereum to get some really good ones. That's what really gets me going too. But the floor of a CryptoPunk's 120 grand. It's outrageous.
Yeah, we could take a look at like a DeFi ARB play for this, like, leverage Bitcoin for yield that will pay for a loan on a punk. I mean, like you can buy NFTs on loans if you didn't know. That would be kind of a degen play, but it'll be
That's
a
actually
way.
not a horrible play, Joe. We should talk about it.
Yeah, we should. It would be a fun one and definitely something that could happen for sure because it can't be that much in terms of interest payments on the NFT. versus like a yield. So it's a wash in terms of gains, but when I realize my DeFi yield gains, it just goes back into crypto. I don't see it anyways. Might as well have a budgie. So we'll talk about that offline, and yeah, maybe we'll get more
I,
benefits from that way.
I like that. All right. Well, that's all I got. If anybody wants to see what Joe and I are really diving deep down every single week, we have a private community. The link's down below. We're really talking about a lot of these meme coins, a lot of these NFT projects before they even pop off within our private community. Also, we're on the Rundown Show. We have a podcast. We do market updates. You can really find us all throughout YouTube, our social media channels. But really, if you're interested, you should check out the private link down below and join our community.